Let's talk about knowledge. What is it? Where does it come from? When can you say you truly know something about yourself or the world? As we observed in Chapter 1, the branch of philosophy that studies knowledge is called Epistemology. The first task of epistemology is to define knowledge. The standard philosophical definition of knowledge is a justified, true belief. Let's break that down. To know something, you have to believe it. It makes no sense to say that you know something you do not believe. The belief has to be true. Just because you believe something doesn't automatically make that belief knowledge. Have you ever had a belief that turned out to be false? If so, then you probably didn't describe that belief as knowledge after you discovered it was false. Instead, you probably described the idea as something you had thought or had believed. The belief has to be justified. For a true belief to be knowledge, you must be able to explain why you believe it. There has to be evidence for the belief. Requiring evidence prevents knowledge from being accidental. That's a pretty good definition, but it isn't perfect. Can you think of anything that meets all three of these requirements and still isn't knowledge? Edmund Gettier could. If you're interested, point your web browser to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and search for Analysis of Knowledge. Check out the section of the article subtitled The Gettier Problem. Even though we realize it isn't perfect, we'll provisionally say that knowledge is a justified true belief. Next question. Where does knowledge come from? There have been two influential answers to this question. The first is rationalism, and the second is empiricism. We'll examine each of these in detail, but here's a brief overview. According to rationalism, knowledge originates from the human ability to reason, which includes using logic and math. For some rationalists, innate ideas are the true origin of knowledge. Innate ideas are ideas that we have at birth, which means that knowledge is a priori. It exists independently of our senses and would still be available if the five senses did not exist. According to empiricism, on the other hand, knowledge comes from your five senses and nothing else. Empiricists reject the existence of innate ideas, arguing that all knowledge is a posteriori, which means that all knowledge is derived from information gathered with the five senses. We'll examine both theories. In this chapter, we'll hear from rationalism by examining Plato's simile of the line, as well as his famous myth of the cave. And then we'll join René Descartes for some house remodeling. Stay tuned.